Hi, welcome to Gathering at the Table's reflection for October. This month we're having a little bit of a different conversation because in late September, Marlette, my daughter Elena, was born. And I'd always heard that births were stressful, but neither Marlette nor I really expected for things to go how they did. We had a plan. We were going to check into the hospital early, be ready when she goes into labor, manage the situation, manage the stress. Well, Marlette and I went into a routine appointment with her doctor 2.5 weeks before Elena was due. Imagine our surprise when the doctor, after looking at some tests, said that we needed to go to the hospital immediately to induce labor. Marlette and I just looked at each other, stunned for a moment. This wasn't part of our plan. This wasn't what we expected. We had some basic things with us in the car, but we were far from being prepared to start having the baby yet. We went to the hospital where they induced labor. During this time, Marlette's blood pressure went down to a point where she lost consciousness. Thankfully, she was fine, and the medical team responded to help her quickly, but she also had multiple times where her blood pressure spiked the opposite direction. It was so high that she was at an extreme risk for stroke and seizures. And this caused the emergency response team to have to respond to her multiple times as well. She was required to be on bed rest for extended periods of time. And after laboring more than 26 hours, the doctor ended up performing an urgent C-section. Again, nothing going according to the way that we had planned it. The surgery went amazingly well, and we got to spend time with our daughter for just a few hours until her blood sugar level dropped, along with her body temperature, and she had to be taken to the neonatal intensive care unit. The doctors assured us that she was okay. Low blood sugar was expected since she was so small, and the NICU was able to monitor her and prevent any additional issues from arising. But again, this definitely wasn't according to our plan. Having everything go so far beyond our control and what we had planned was upsetting, to say the very least. Marlette suffered both physically and mentally the entire time that we were in the hospital, and I felt like I needed to be ever vigilant, resulting in me going over 38 hours straight without sleep. The experience was so complicated that it's easier to process when focusing on different aspects of it. We could look at the medical side and analyze the treatments that were provided and weigh them if they were the best decisions, and for the most part, we think they were. We could also focus on all the complications that Marlette endured and compare them against our plans to highlight just how far our experience was versus what we had planned. But I think both of us had spent a lot of time thinking through these type of patterns. I had a moment where I was holding Elena in the NICU, thinking about Marlette not being able to come and see her with me, where I realized I was at the end of my endurance. I held her, I fed her, and I just sat there and cried. But out of that moment, I realized that I was grateful. I was grateful that despite us being in the hospital and both my wife and daughter being in precarious health, we were all moment to moment okay. And so often, I think that gratitude is thought as being incompatible with hard times. After all, if we are grateful, then we're not suffering, right? But I think we get positivity mixed up with gratitude, and they're actually very different things. Positivity is simply looking at a situation in a positive way. And this is where toxic positivity comes from. If someone is suffering and someone tells them to look at the good side of the situation, well, that sends a message that their suffering is either unseen or they feel it's unimportant compared to the positivity of the person saying it. Gratitude has its root in something spiritual here, though. We can be suffering, but part of us recognizes that life and everything good in it are rooted in something beyond ourselves. Suffering takes our attention away from this truth at time, but it still remains. In this case, hope stems from knowing that I want to be part of this same good, and because of that, I can be grateful for the good bits that show through all of the bad. The question is how do you think gratitude is different from toxic positivity? And have you ever had a time in your life where someone ignored your situation for the sake of being positive? Our last question is, do you think gratitude as a spiritual practice can be a tool for resilience? Why or why not? Thanks for reflecting with us. We'll catch you next time.